Continuing on with Revelation, if we jump then to Alma 32, because I mentioned having faith. And a lot of people, how do I have faith? And Alma 32 obviously is a great chapter on faith. But if we look at it closely, we're here to live by faith. And in Alma 32, it specifically says in verse 34, it says, "Yea, if your knowledge is perfect, then you don't have faith." So if you have a perfect knowledge in something, then it takes no faith. So we may never get to a point of a perfect knowledge in doctrine, in something, which actually is great because then you still continue to have faith. This weekend was Elder Cook was doing the face-to-faith in the grounds of the Nauvoo Temple. And I was watching that, and it was great because it was about church history. And I love church history. I find it fascinating. But it was about church history and people's questions and people's concerns about church history. And as I listened to that, and I know Elder Cook is an apostle. I know that. And so what he says, I know to be true. And so I listened and I went right along with 34, or with chapter 32 in Alma. Is my heart open? Is my ground not barren and hard? How are you listening when the apostles speak? How are you reading the scriptures? Is your ground hard and hardened? Is your heart that you can't plant a seed? Or is your heart open and you're waiting for the Spirit? The Spirit isn't going to come when there's contention. The Spirit is not going to dwell. I mean, you think about the analogy of planting a seed in moist, fertile ground, and that makes sense. Are you that ground? Are you open for this seed? And I love it because in 32, how it talks about the seed, and then it doesn't even get to a point to where it's still not ever knowledge. It's still a seed. But what does it take for that seed to grow, for plant to grow, for your faith to grow? Not for your knowledge to grow, but your faith to grow in a topic. And I love it. It says, in verse 35, it says, I say unto you, is it not real? And it says, I say unto you, yea, because of light. And whatsoever is light is good. And you think about that. With revelation and with what they teach you, do you feel good when you hear it? Does the Spirit speak to you? When I listened to Elder Cook, and when I listened to those church history experts, and I sat there and I thought, is what they're saying true? Please teach me. Please help me to know. And that desire, and I went in listening to this with an open heart, with soft, fertile ground, so that the seed could grow. And they taught me there. And I learned the Spirit actually taught me more than what they were saying. Because as I was listening, the Spirit was then teaching me in my mind, making sense of what they were saying and making sense of things I had learned in the past and kind of putting it all together. But had I not been watching that, dare I say, by myself, but had the Spirit speak to me, questions and concerns I had about church history were answered that night. Things that I knew were true, but the Spirit just confirmed and taught me more than I had at that point. And so when you listen to General Conference, when you read your scriptures, when you hear an apostle speak, or your bishop, or your parents, do you have an open heart? Or are you tight and angry? And seeds still can grow in those. But it says when the storms come, when the heat of the sun come, they can't survive. So if you get hard in your heart, if you get angry, if you can't listen, that faith will not continue to grow. So think about that when you're studying a topic, when you're reading your scriptures, when you're at church. Think about that. Am I at a place where something can grow? Am I doing the things I need to do? And then you will get line upon line. You will learn things. It may not be a sure knowledge, because if it is a sure knowledge, then there's no faith. And we're here to live by faith. And do you have faith that the Spirit speaks to you or can speak to you? Do you trust in that? Do you believe in that? I know the Spirit can. And I know the Spirit does. Just open your heart and listen. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And be the fabulous you I know you can be.